Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the SCG 25K Team Trios event. My name is Will Hall, better known on the internet as the Will Hall EXP, and my dance partner this weekend is Jarvis Yu, and we're taking you through the morning shift, getting this party started, ready before we hand off to the afternoon crew for the last 4 rounds of action. Remember, this is Team Trios. That means we've got someone in the Pioneer seat, someone in the Modern seat, and someone in the Legacy seat. We're going to kind of focus a lot more this weekend on the Modern and Legacy seats because they're the formats. We don't see too much Legacy, and we know at home we all love a bit of Modern, so we're kind of focusing on those two games. Best 2 out of 3. That means 2 of your team need to win the match before you can advance and get that big dub for the whole all 3 of you. Yeah, we will be coming back tomorrow. Remember, 5 more rounds with a cut to top 6, but we'll talk about that a lot more tomorrow. That's a tomorrow problem. First thing for all the players playing right now is getting to day number 2. They need 18 points or better, we believe, to get there. So we're going to see who can kind of short that up a little bit more, get another 3 points for the team here in round number 4. Jarvis, what decks are we going to see starting off in Legacy?
We're going to see Travis's teammate again playing Doomsday versus Stu Summers playing Cephalid Breakfast. This is a matchup I'm not super familiar with. I kind of think it's just a race. Probably Doomsday's slightly favored, but it's a close one for me to call.
That's why this is why actually why I love paper magic. We get to see, we get to find out the hard way. We get to put it on the camera for everybody watching at home. So because Travis's team is our featured feature match this round, so to speak, we do have access to their deck lists on screen for you all. Here are both players just finishing shuffling up sideboarded. So you'll notice at the top of the decks there is no names, there is no scores, etc. That is because there's a problem with the server company, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to sort that out in the background. Literally, we've got everybody, all the orcs working in the background trying to sort this out for you all. But in the meantime, you're going to have mine and Jarvis' beautiful voice kind of give you everything about live totals. You'll see that there is a pad on the screen for you all. We're going to try and use that to the best of our ability. Or both of these players going back and forth with their decks. We'll try and get that sorted for the later rounds, but right now we make do what we can. Because remember, this is a one-man band stream. There's one person doing all this. It is that name on the center of the playmat that you can see there. It is Ahmad MTG. If you like this content, I need you to hit that follow button. If you got a sub, I need you to throw that sub at this channel. I need you to watch as many hours of this channel as you can. But why wouldn't you? It is legacy action. It is modesty action. It is paper action. Getting us all hyped up, ready for the Pro Tour in a couple of weeks. I know there's a couple of players at this tournament this weekend that'll be flying across to Europe, where I am right now, to battle out in Barcelona in the Lord of the Rings Pro Tour. And the potentially 3 more of these players at this tournament could try and get themselves to the Pro Tour with 3 RC invites for the winning team, as well as a huge chunk of that $25,000. Looks like we've got a mulligan here on the right of your screen for the food player. We saw in the last game in the Legacy seat, I believe, 9 mulligans in total. This time, it looks like we're just starting off with 1. So, we'll keep a mulligan count. That's how many times this happens in this match. As you said, Jarvis, basically a race. What is the best opening hand? We've seen a lot of Doomsday so far, so let's talk about the breakfast side of it. What's the combo? How does that work? Start me with that one.
So there's 2 ways this can work for Stu. Both of them involve Cephalid Illusionist, hence the name Cephalid Breakfast. You can either use Shuko or Nomad's Encore to repeatedly target your Cephalid Illusionist, milling your entire deck. You eventually get a few Narcomoebas and a Dread Return and a Thassa's Oracle. There's also a Cabal Therapy in the deck to clear the way. Suppose your opponent has something like Surgical Extraction or Very Macabre. If you hit the therapy early enough in the cycle, you can therapy them, get rid of the hate card, and then just Dread Return your Thassa's Oracle with an empty deck. So they're both Thassa's Oracle combo decks in a sense of the word.
We'll see who can be quicker. I imagine being on the play is going to be a huge advantage, especially when we are racing it out. We're going to quite, I'll also try to keep track of both players at live totals. Thank you very much. Just as I said it there, we see Travis just tick the box for us. Remember, the server is down, ladies and gentlemen. So, but in the meantime, don't worry about that. I've got you covered, chat. Don't you worry. We're going to see this ponder be resolved here. We get to look at the top 3 cards. We can put them back in any order and draw a card, or we can shuffle. It's completely up to how Robert on the right of your screen, Robert Vaughan, wants to go about this. He is our food player, gets to look at the hand. And we can see this a lot in the first couple of turns, right? Both players kind of sculpting their game plan.
I believe Yeah, we actually have the combo lined up. There was a Nomads on top. We have a Cephalid Illusionist in hand. Even if one of them gets countered, we can cycle step through to find another Illusionist. And again, it's usually correct to fight over the Illusionists because there are less of them in the deck.
Let's see how we want to go about this. I can only make out a days in hand for Travis on the right of your screen. As a little look at a couple of cards, one of them's going to be another days. Who wants to go that route? It does have 2 islands in play, remember. I think, is that a preordain as well on top that could be drawn here?
It is. And I believe these players' names are David and Stu. Stu's on the right, David's on the left.
I've definitely got that wrong. Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I've got the modern names, the modern
Yeah,
Paris. I think that's what's going on here.
I think so. It's Rob Vaughn versus Travis Brown in the modern seat. I'm friends
Thank
with
you.
most of these people, which is kind of funny to think about.
And none of them invited you to play, or did you turn them all down?
No,
No, I'm doing
I,
commentary.
well, I went to St. Louis last weekend, so I decided not to go anywhere this weekend.
Well, you get to come here virtually with everybody here at home as
Sure.
well and bring them this. We need someone smart in this booth. You know what I mean? I can just waffle words all day long, but if they don't have any meaning, you're going to be here to bring meaning and, a bit of insight into everybody at home watching these. Could be watching these decks for the first time. I was kind of being told about the start of breakfast and how it came about. Apparently, it used to be called a full English breakfast at the start, and then it adapted to the
Um,
name it's got now. And
it-
obviously, I was very intrigued by it all.
so there was a trend in like the late '90s, early 2000s to name every combo deck after like breakfast. Like Trix was a name, Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. There's a long story, and Cephalid Breakfast was one of the names as well way back when.
I had one of our friends saying that to him. Matei said he would tell me all about it in Barcelona when I see him. Is what he said to
Sure.
me a couple of
That
days ago.
Yeah. So Matei and I are the same age, actually, both born in 1984.
Well, I wasn't going to say how old you are. I was just going to use the
Sure.
term boomer to describe you all. But if you're happy for that to be out on the internet, so am I. It's going to be great.
Sure.
As both players turning and burning through the day. No one's hit that. You pulled the trigger just yet. What are they playing around from the other person? Is it just I need to build up my level of counter magic before I go for it, or are you going to wait for the other person to go for it, fight over it then, and then hope the way is clear for you to kind of untap and do your combo?
So I think based on land drops, Stu knows that this is Doomsday, and he's just waiting for a window to deploy his stuff through a daze, probably. Like daze is strong on his mind. He could also have Orcish Bowmasters in mind as well, which is another reason not to play your one toughness creatures out.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty rough. Obviously, we have access to both players' deck lists here. We know there's no Orcish Burmasters in the 75. Am I got that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, none in the 75. Is that surprising to you? Does this mean that it's more of a streamlined, cut down Doomsday version, or is that just it's the new hot spice that people have been trying out and seeing, and maybe it's not as good as what everyone thinks it is in Doomsday?
Um, I think there's just a lack of space in the deck, unless if you want to build like a very mid-rangey Doomsday deck, which is certainly possible to do. Again, I'm not a Doomsday expert. I don't know how to fiddle with all the knobs, but you could definitely build a version of this deck that has a lot less personal tutors and more like mid-range cards in it, and it would probably still work out okay. Meanwhile, I think Stu went for the brainstorm because he just wants to see if there's a Bowmaster. Like, basically, you can be pretty sure that there's no Bowmaster here now because what kind of person would not Bowmaster in response to a brainstorm, right?
A very disciplined one, if that was going to happen. Remember, the live totals are going to be on that pad on top of your screen. See there, 20 to 18 now of that second fetch. We are trying in the background, trying to work out a few details to do with the servers. So until then, you've got mine, Jarvis, trying to bring you and describe to you perfectly what is happening on the
Oh,
battlefield in here. Talk me through this one and how, this looks like we're starting to fight the fight now, right?
yeah. So you Cabal Therapy to see if the coast is clear. In fact, David did not have anything productive to do. He could have like cast Grief last turn, but Stu can now cast at least one of his combo pieces, but not both. Because if you cast the second one, it'll get dazed. But you can cast one of them here, and then next turn cast the second one.
Well, so that street ref is in hand. There's a chance that that we know the top card. Maybe we've left it there on purpose in case something like this was to happen, and we street ref into potentially like a hard counter. But none of the cards named. I think is probably realistically what was the card that you named in the blind there? Force of will.
Probably Force of Will, because Force of Negation doesn't even stop your combo piece. And yeah, Stu's just deploying one of the combo pieces. And now the jig is up for David. Once you see Nomads in court, that literally can only be one deck in this format.
Okay, well here we go. Land for the turn. Fast as Oracle was the card on top. That's now in the grip. How do we want to go about this? Double fetch, dropping down to 18. I believe the life total is 18 apiece. We're just going to see, if that. I think the tablet's kind of with the server resetting, etc., etc. So it is 18 apiece currently, ladies and gentlemen. I'll keep you updated of it all. I've got a note, a notepad in front of me, and this is why if you ever get a feature match, you're always encouraged to write it down in paper and do it digitally. For just so there's no life discrepancies between both. As we're going to see a hard cast grief here. We're able to look at the grip. And yep, it's all up. Jig, what would you like?
Illusionist step through represents 3 copies of Step Illusionist. Stu's just like, yeah, sure. You can grief one of these. It doesn't matter because he'll have 2 illusionists next turn anyways.
Is this good enough? Are you calling GG here?
I think given David's hand, yeah, the problem is Stu can't wait. Stu knows once he saw with that Cabal Therapy that it's Doomsday, so he's incentivized to try to kill his opponent next turn.
We'll see if that pans out and see exactly how he's doing. I think now we know the coast is clear potentially. We won't see one card we do not know about. That'll be what's going through the mind.
Grief does not go to the graveyard.
Yeah, but normally we see that quite a lot in
Yeah.
modern, and usually we're ditching a black card. But in this instant, when you're hard casting it, I guess it's not exactly what Doomsday wants to happen. But here comes a brainstorm end of turn. Going to keep them guessing about what could potentially be in the hand and what not. We get to draw 3, pit 2 back.
Well, I think the actual reason to cast Brainstorm there is you're going to try to end the game next turn anyways. You might as well get maximum information about what is going to happen. Like if you just draw like Force plus Boot card, it's also good.
I think it's just a bit of discrepancy there about like, I put 3 cards back instead of 2. No,
Sometimes you would. Well, sometimes you would if you drew. I think Stu actually did brainstorm into 3 Narcomoebas, so you would actually want to be able to put all of them back.
Well, it looks like I didn't have the option, and one of them had to get drawn for the turn. So let's see how we want to go about this. Looking at the graveyard, trying to think, right, what do I need to play around? What could that one last card be? Does it affect anything at all?
It doesn't really, because what's going to happen is I think Stu's going to win this turn, barring David cycling into a Force off of the Street Wraith, which he still has option to do so. But
I think we've done that, don't we? I think we've just done that in response to I think we've done that, and then in response to that, we've fetched. I think we're in that stage right now.
So maybe we drew a Brainstorm to investigate to see if we're not dead or not.
Life totals, if I've got them correct, 15 to 18.
3 fetches, Street Wraith. Yeah. This is a matchup not about life totals, really.
That's good for us at home with the coverage. Here comes the combo. So talk me through the combo. Now we've got the cards on the battlefield. What do they do and how does it all work?
So Nomads Encore has the ability, basically you can redirect 1 damage from Nomads to target another target creature. So you can just have it target the Illusionist. Cephalid Illusionist has a triggered ability that whenever it's the target of solar ability, mill 3 cards. Cephalid Illusionist also actually has another ability, which is pay 2, tap it to prevent all damage that would be dealt by it and a creature it's blocking or blocked by. Which is kind of weird text, but occasionally you fog your opponent's attacks with the Cephalid Illusionist as well. But basically, the entire graveyard or entire library is milled, so you can hit Dread Return and Thassa's Oracle.
And so that means we're going to exile the 3/1/1s or sacrifice them, then put a creature from a graveyard into play. That's going to be Thassa's Oracle with no no library. So Thassa's Oracle trigger happens, and then we win the game that way. We're just getting a little bit more information this way, making sure there's no fancy one-ofs in the deck, nothing that potentially can influence our sideboard decisions, as we will be going to our sideboards for for game number 2 coming up. I think we've got the Doomsday list that we can get up on the screen for you all. so we can have a little look at home if this is the first time you're seeing Doomsday or you're seeing this powerful combo deck and how it can work. This is what it looks like and the numbers that they decided to bring this weekend. What do you like in this sideboard and why?
Let's see. We have the rest is okay. Opposition Dothy Voidwalker is actually pretty good because basically the Voidwalker prevents the Narcomoebas or Dread Return or Thoughts Oracle being milled into the deck. One thing that weird that can happen is suppose David has Voidwalker out and Stu has a combo, but also has the ability to just put the Thoughts Oracle into his hand. He's allowed to mill his entire deck out. It'll all be exiled, then just cast Thoughts Oracle from his hand to kill his opponent as well. Versus a Dothy Voidwalker.
That's interesting. That's a cool little line of play to see. So we're not going to be able to get it up on the screen for all this breakfast list. We have it in the booth, so we're going to see if we can talk through it and what you'd like and what you don't like here. Anything you can see in this sideboard that you think you would want to be bringing in?
Force of Negation, I think Surgical Extraction and Flusterstorm are all pretty reasonable cards to side in. The way that Stu's deck is set up is actually very close to Brian Koval's from a previous SCG event, where I think this might even just be Koval's exact deck was from that event where he won. You can tell because there's 3 Staff of the Storyteller and Retrofitter Foundry. I think those cards might actually come out, and we're just going to play like a full-on racing situation. Also, the Source of Hushers are kind of not very meaningful as well.
We'll see how we want to go about this as both players do. They're going through their cards, deciding what they want to bring in and bring out. We get with these beautiful hand cams, we do get a bit of an insight into that. We can see the sideboard guide there on the lap for David. Remember, these are legal. You can look at your sideboard guide in between games if need to be, because there's a lot of different decks in these formats. So, trying to memorize exactly how you want to be sideboarding and statistically what's best or not. Sideboard guides, they come in quite handy at times. If you do like the coverage, ladies and gentlemen, I do need you to hit that follow button, though. This isn't easy. Putting all this coverage, we do need to get sponsors, and the more, the higher the stats, the more sponsors we can get. You can see on the screen there, Apex Gaming, one of the main sponsors of this weekend for this stream. They also stream themselves. They've got lots of events coming up and do amazing coverage. So again, if you want to go give them a follow, I see in the chat already, we've got a command made for it. So that's exclamation mark Apex, APEX, and that will get you all the details to that beautiful sponsor. Great bunch of people as well. I'm on another continent and I still support them. I wear their hoodies, I use their playmats. I think we should be supporting everybody that does paper magic and brings it to us so we can all enjoy it, just like we're doing this weekend long. You know what I mean? It is an awesome weekend, and if you are enjoying yourself, make sure you throw that Amazon Prime on this channel, support it a little bit more. It costs a lot of money to fly across America, I believe. I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure plane fare costs a lot, especially when you bring in multiple bags full of cameras, batteries, Wi-Fi equipment, cables, play mats, all this stuff that you see here, as well as everything to back it up in case any of it goes wrong. As you can see here, the server's gone down. We're working on that, so we can't give you the live totals and the names at the top of your screen. So the backup is we put a tablet on the screen to do live totals. Everything is covered in the stream, and it's all brought to you by one person and one person only. And we need to protect him at all costs, ladies and gentlemen. So hit that follow button. Watch all you can this weekend. Support everything that's going on as we're going to get to a game number 2 for our legacy seat. Remember, there's Pioneer. You can just about see him there on the edge of the screen. We did for a little moment there. That is Cedric Phillips over in the Pioneer seat. We've got Modern, and then we have a Legacy. We're going to bring you a lot more Modern and Legacy this weekend. 8 rounds today. This is going to be the last round that you see me and Jarvis, and then we're going to be heading off to the afternoon crew before tomorrow. We've got a fresh load of casters. 4 more casters coming tomorrow to bring you all this beautiful action with a cut to top 6. Cuts top 6. You're like, what? No, he means cut to top 8. That doesn't make sense. No. A cut to top 6.
I think I actually caught a glance of how David actually sideboarded. The
Go
way
for it.
the hand cam works, it actually is very convenient. It looked like he sided out Cabal Ritual, 2 Street Wraiths, and had 3 Personal Tutor, a Cabal Ritual, and a Street Wraith, and sided in 2 Dothy Voidwalker, Relic of Progenitus, Brazen Bar, and 1 Opposition Agent.
So why 1 agent?
So most of the breakfast decks play Urza Saga, so Opposition Agent can obviously cack a Saga, third modes searching for the Shuko, which is one of the key cards. Alternatively, you can also cack a fetch land. It also is sort of kind of an annoying alternative threat that Stu has to be wary of and play around.
Interesting. It's obviously a super powerful card. Had a lot of hype when they got spoiled income, and I can't say like I see too much of it floating around. I'm sure it's obviously played in a lot of decks and does a lot of good work. But I've seen it more in sideboards than I have in main decks. Is it almost like it hasn't found its home, quote unquote, yet, or is it? It is just a really good sideboard card potentially in some of the more staple decks in the format.
I think there's actually quite a few decks that play at least one copy of Opposition Agent. I think the Yorion Death and Taxes deck that splashes black tends to play one. The mono black stompy-ish deck plays 4 Opposition Agent because it obviously is very good with Ancient Tomb and Chrome Mox. And I think just generally speaking with Dark Ritual, Opposition Agent makes a lot of sense.
Hold on, wait. Anu told me that D&T wasn't a deck.
Well, you can't like Honorak has biases that you can't always trust.
Yeah, look, I trust the experts and what they say. As we get a good look at the opening 7 here for David, I see Days, Doomsday, Oracle, Street Wraith, couple of land. That might even be, is that a Swamp or a Voidwalker at the back of the deck?
That's a grief.
Oh, it's a Grief. Okay, a Grief.
Yeah.
And on a Molder 6, as we spoke about mulligans so far in the Legacy format and more popular in these combo decks. David gets to be on the play here, just starting off the turn with a basic island. On the other side, another basic island. I do like talking about basic lands of choice. What's your basic lands of choice, Jarvis? And this is another one for you as well, chat. Let me know. What basics do you use in your decks?
Hong Kong Island. The junket, the boat.
Oh, okay. That I haven't heard that one before. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. I like that. So that's a very boomer-esque island to have there. I love it. Ponder is now going to be is cast. We can obviously put them back in any order we want or shuffle, and then we get to draw a card. Looks like we like the top one. I think that was Nurse's Saga. We drew that for the turn. Off the Ponder, sorry.
There was an orange chance seen off the Ponder as well, which I think is going to be Stu's next drawn card, because that lets you interrupt Doomsday on its critical turn if the Doomsday player is not careful. However, David actually examined the entire graveyard before going to game 2, so he knows about the orange chance.
Again, small little details from legacy players, really making all the difference potentially in the long run. It all adds up at the end of the day. That card there, I do not know what it is off the top of my head, so I'm gonna have to click on it and see what it is. Asuka.
Yeah,
because it's got the equip 0. Got you.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other combo that you can work with.
And we're going to see a Grief cast here. Obviously, we all know what this does with the very powerful Modern Horizons 2 set that came out. We're going to use this is the ability we haven't seen yet so far from Brainstorm. The ability to kind of shuffle away our good, oh, not shuffle away, put our good cards on top of a deck so they can't be fortsies.
Yeah, and I think, is there a Days incoming? Yep.
And now we get a good look at the full hand. No cards here can be put back or hidden away. What do you like taking out of this hand? I see it's a Fairy, Brainstorm, a couple of land, and I can't remember the name of that one. Step Through? Thank you.
Yeah, it has Wizard Cycling 2. That's mostly what it does in this deck. The other ability is 3 blue, sorcery, return up to 2 target creatures to owner's hands. That ability does not come up very much in Legacy, as you might suspect. However, Cephalid Illusionist is a wizard.
So it's just acting as the the extra copies in the deck. If try and find it. I got you. Makes sense. So what do you like taking here after all that?
I think I'd be inclined. I guess the real question is, how fast can we kill with this hand? That dictates a lot about what's going on here. So I guess by taking the Brainstorm, you say you can race cycling for Step Through plus casting the thing. And it makes sense because we have the Doomsday this turn.
Oh, love to see it. So I'm pretty sure we've got to tap some mana for this. But
no, there was a black floating off of Days.
Oh,
so it's black floating
okay,
past Dark Ritual. This is correct. He used the black die to represent the black mana floating.
Beautiful. So now we're going to go to back to the pile. We've seen this multiple times so far over on David's side. You know, Master Deck needs to know what he's playing around. Not too worried about endurance, I guess, this game. So what cards is he worried about now while making this pile?
Worm's Chance is the one that he saw in game one that I would be the most worried about. And mostly you have to be careful about that. You can maybe set up a situation where you cast a discard spell the turn before you're trying to kill Stu, and then the turn after, if they draw a second Chant, sure you lose, but otherwise you can beat Chant that way. I'm not sure exactly what his plan is. Again, like Doomsday, I found very, very difficult to account for all of the possibilities. And that's why I don't personally play the deck.
And if you were going to turn up this weekend, you'd be on.
I would play the Grixis deck that I played last weekend as well. Again,
that's another question for you, chat. What deck, if you were playing this week, what seat would you want to be in? Would you want to be in Pioneer, Modern, or Legacy? And what deck would you be playing in those seats? Let us know in the chat, as well as if you want to see any sort of matchups. You know, news out there on the ground. He's flown over there, so he gets to pick a couple of matchups. If they're doing well at the top tables, I'm sure he'll endeavor his best to try and get them on coverage for you all. One little reminder at the top of your screen there that you just got a random verses in some red. Damn it. You know, that is what it is. The server has gone down. We're doing our best to try and work on it, get it fixed for the future rounds. But for this round, you're going to have mine and Jarvis's voice trying to, you know, navigate everything to you with players' names, live totals, who's up and down the game. Currently, we've got Stu on the right of your screen. The food player is up 1-0 against David. David's going to do his best now with that pile to try and fight back, try and get that extra game, level it up, and take it to a game number 3. But remember, this is a team trios event, so 2 of the 3 of the teammates have to win, 2 best out of 3. So, Jarvis, is there a potential great game-breaking, changing top deck that could be happening right now over on Stu's side, or is it pretty much a lock, or could he win from here?
Well, Stu has Orm's Chant in his hand. So depending on how David navigates this, suppose David just burns all of his cyclers and gets to the bottom of the pile. Then if Stu just Orm's Chant with the last cycler in the stack, David will have no deck left, be forced to draw, and then die next turn. So it's very important that he be mindful of Orm's Chant here, I think.
Well, playing fetch, we're going to crack it. Pretty slow with the crack there. Obviously, both players keeping up on live totals for us. Remember, Doomsday was cast, so half our live total plus a fetch. That means that David on left your screen is at 9 life. On the right, Stu, just 1 fetch land deep so far. Stu's at 19, but this game doesn't come down to life points. This is about who can combo first. Fastest Oracle hitting the battlefield, and someone not having any any library left to win the game. Let's see what passes. Oh no, we've got something end of turn here. 2 mana, 2 blue, cycle Street Wraith. Drops David down to 7.
So Stu's thinking about the exact thing that I brought up, which is when do you Orm's Chant? Oh, I don't like chanting now. I think this doesn't do anything because then David's just allowed to try to cycle again next turn. Oh,
So,
wait. No, actually, this is fine. I understand Stu's plan. Stu's plan is to cycle step through, get Cephalid Illusionist, and try to kill on his turn. This is fine.
so you think that we're actually going to be able to put it back on Stu's side?
Yeah, it's because this Orange Chant basically time walked David.
And it was a race. Literally, it comes down to what you said. Like, you know, both these games are going to be going off against each other. Who can get their combo through quicker with a little bit of interaction that both decks have with discard, counter magic, and I can't pronounce the card. You just
Orange Chant.
Thank you, Orm's Chant.
Yeah.
Kind of silence with a bit of extra text on it that can be relevant at times. With a kicker.
Yeah, you can
Silence with a kicker.
Yeah, you can basically fog an attack, which is obviously relevant.
Oh yeah, very relevant in these sort of formats. So now we're going to see some mana floating, I think.
It's just one card was floating. Stu failed the search. I think if I'm Stu, I would just lead on Surgical because our life total doesn't matter, just to get information. And in fact, that's what he's doing. It doesn't really matter what you Surgical here, but
Gonna cycle another Street Wraith. That was in hand. That's going to drop us down. I believe that puts him at 5 life. This also shuffles the last couple of cards of the deck. Not that it matters.
But you also get to see it because you know it's Cavern Oracle. So, and then here's the kill.
And if anybody just tune in, talk us through what happens right now while they go through the steps.
So Stu's going to mill his entire deck, assuming there's enough Narcomoebas left. / he left in Dread Return Thassa's Oracle. It's basically he'll have no deck. He'll have Dread Return targeting Thassa's Oracle, and that's lethal.
And that is going to be that. I'm going to ask Anu if we can switch across to the modern match. Either we're going to have it recorded for you all, because remember, this is going to be time walked, or they might be doing